Hey guys, Dave here again. This is part two. Part one, we were talking to couples who are scheduled to get married in the next couple months or even later in 2020 or early 2021. And here in part two, we are talking, I do that all the time. I always say we, and it is just me. In part two, I am talking to my fellow vendors. I started prepping for this scenario Tuesday of last week. For me, that the switch flipped then, and I didn't know what it would look like, but I knew something was coming, and so I started to get ready to weather this storm. And so now that it is upon us and it is clear that it's happening, I wanted to put out a video to give you guys some advice to basically take a week of my research and just boil it down and give you my cheat sheet. I'm gonna let you cheat on this test because, you know, we're in this together. Let's try and get through this. So, in terms of what we are dealing with in this scenario, we are dealing with, I presume all of you are dealing with too, a sudden stopping of cash flow. There is probably some loss of business, but the main issue is a stop in cash flow. And so how can we float our expenses through this stop in cash flow? Because for any of us, this isn't the end of our business. We're not all of a sudden, we're not losing all of our summer or fall weddings or our 2021 weddings. Nothing's changing there. And for most of the weddings we're losing right now, they're moving there. There is a hard stop right now in inquiries and bookings, as is to be expected. People are very preoccupied with very stressful and anxiety-inducing things, but that will also come back. People will still get married. So what we can hope for is not only will inquiries return in the hopefully coming weeks, maybe months, but when they return, they should return at a higher rate than normal, as couples that should have been planning their weddings are kind of getting caught up. So again, all of these solutions are temporary solutions to create cash so that you can float through this gap in cash flow. Here's what I got so far. The biggest and most important thing, and this just went online this morning, at least here in Southern California, is going to be, and I got my notes right here, that's what I'm looking at, disasterloan.sba.gov. I'll put that here, and I'll put a link in the iCard. Oh God, I never know. One of these sides, the iCard, I'll put a link. I just filled out my application today, but this is going to be our best opportunity to get an influx of cash at the best possible terms of repayment. Just to be clear, all of this advice, this is all ways to either create temporary cash that you will obviously have to pay back, or to postpone payments until cash flow picks back up. There is no scenario here where you just get money and get to keep it. So, scenario one, disasterloan.sba.gov. I have no idea how long it's going to take, nobody knows how long it's going to take, what you'll get, what kind of terms. So that the jury's still out on that, but absolutely apply. It doesn't cost you anything. It does take, it took me I wanted to film this morning, and it is clearly nighttime outside, and disasterloan.sba.gov is why I'm filming this at almost 9 o'clock at night instead of 10 o'clock this morning like I wanted to. But hey, anything we can do to pull in some cash to help us get through this. Option two, line of credit. If you're not familiar with lines of credit, or you don't have one already, or have never got one before, absolutely go to your bank, whatever bank your business account is set up through, or if you don't have a business account, then just, I don't know, your bank. Go to your bank and talk about opening up a line of credit or a traditional SBA loan. That goes through your actual bank. While I am not an accountant or a financial advisor by any means, the way this was explained to me by my accountant, which makes perfect sense, the benefit of a line of credit versus a loan. A line of credit, you're generally going to pay a higher interest rate, but there's no scheduled repayment. So in a term loan, if you feel like that's what's best for you, go for that because you'll generally get lower interest rates. But a term loan, you're immediately going to be paying back your loan when, again, no cash is coming in. A line of credit, you pull out just what you need to pay the bills, and then as soon as cash comes back in, you pay it back. But until cash comes back in, you don't have to worry about repaying it. You're just going to pay the interest on that line of credit. Okay, option 3, and this is where we're going to start getting more creative. On Thursday last week, I called our credit card companies. Every month, we just pay off our balance. We use our credit cards for rewards points, but we don't ever carry a balance. Well, now we might. So I called and I did 2 things. One, I asked for a limit increase. Because we pay off our cards every month, we're nowhere near our limit on either card, on either our business credit card or our personal credit card or our new Amazon credit card. 5% back on all your Amazon purchases. This is not an ad. But I wanted to make sure that just, doing my due diligence, making sure I had as much financial resources at hand as possible, I went ahead and started the application to increase our limit on all 3 of our credit cards. And then I also asked while I was on the phone what they were doing about coronavirus. And this is going to play into kind of all of these final steps, but I just called and asked, like, what are you doing? If we have to carry a balance, can we get the interest waived? So basically, now you're just looking at a free line of credit, essentially. And she said, obviously I don't have this in writing or anything, and this hasn't happened yet, but she said, oh, absolutely, I know with coronavirus, there's a lot that there's a lot of different things we're setting up to help people with. And if you go to either of our credit card sites, you can see it right on a banner on the top of the site, like, we're here to help, let us know if you're in hardship. And for any of us in this industry, we are definitely in hardship. We may not be feeling it financially yet, but it is coming. So I'm planning on starting to carry balance through this time on my credit cards, assuming I can get that interest waived, and I'll just make sure on that. And as soon as I make sure on that, then I will continue to just carry a balance, because that essentially creates a free line of credit. But even in that scenario where you now have a free line of credit through your credit cards, or severely reduced rate line of credit, even in that scenario, for most or not, if not all of us, that's not going to cover our mortgage, or rent, or our car payment. And so again, for each of those 3, call your bank or whoever holds that loan, call your landlord and just say, listen, my business is healthy. I have all of these weddings booked, I have all of that, I can show you all my numbers, but right now I have a sudden and hard stop in cash flow. What are my options? For us, for our office, I actually haven't called our landlord yet. I want to wait 1 or 2 more days until it gets, a little bit more serious. And then I'm going to call him and say, hey, we're actually month to month here, so I'm going to say, hey, like, I could move out and then maybe move all my stuff back in, or you can just let me lock up the office with the stuff in it for a month or 2, and then as soon as everything fires back up, I'll just start writing your rent checks again. You can have a guarantee that I'll be back in here because all my stuff's here. And then for our mortgage, our bank hasn't started any program for it yet, specifically related to coronavirus, but our bank did tell us that they do have, what did they call it? Loss mitigation, I think is what they called it. And as soon as we feel like we need to miss a payment, we can write to them and fill an application for that. So there are options there as well, and I'm sure that would also apply to car payments. Hey guys, Editing Dave here. Wanted to give you a quick update on the mortgage / rent / car payment scenario. Again, call them, ask them, what will they do for you? We got a call back finally from our bank today as I was editing this film, and they said, just send us a business card that shows that you own a business and literally a single sentence that says, my business has been affected by coronavirus. And they will give us 3 months forbearance on our home mortgage. So please, please, please make those calls, get somebody on the phone, give them your information, ask them to call you back, whatever, but make those calls and see what you can get. Next piece of advice. This is where it's going to get a little bit more gray. We've seen, I'm sure you've seen, all utility providers, internet providers, phone providers, they've all said that they are not going to cut service during this time. So what does that mean? That means you can stop paying your bill temporarily. You're still going to owe that money, and you won't lose your heat, you won't lose your internet, you won't lose your electricity. This is where it's gray and where I need to find some more information on this. Because of the situation, are they going to essentially allow you to carry a balance and then pay it off when the cash flow comes back? Yes, they're definitely going to do that. Are they going to report it to the credit bureaus? That is where I would want to get clarification, because in the credit card scenario or the mortgage and rent scenario and all of those scenarios, in the credit card scenario, you're still going to pay your minimum balance so that your payments are on time, but you're going to call them about waiving your interest. And in the mortgage and rent and car payment scenario, you're calling the bank and asking them what they can do. Oh, I skipped one. We'll get back to it. Did I? No, I definitely skipped one. I'm pretty sure I skipped one. We'll talk about it, and if I didn't skip it, then it'll just be funny because I'll record it twice. Yeah, in the other scenarios, we're calling and we're asking them to help us out. In this utility scenario, we're basically just not paying the bill. I guess we could also call, but that's the only thing there. I want to make sure that it's not going to get reported to the credit bureau so that your credit doesn't suffer if you take advantage of that opportunity. Okay, looping back around to one I'm pretty sure I skipped. Student loan forbearance. I 100% skipped that. I have not said that word out loud all day. Student loan forbearance. As you may have seen or probably saw, student loan interest is being waived or paused or whatever the technical financial term. But basically that means if you put your student loan into forbearance, I'm not a financial advisor, so please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But if you put your student loan into forbearance, which means postponing payments or holding off on payments, if you put it into forbearance while interest is not being accrued, that basically means your account is just pausing. That is an option you should 100% take advantage of. There's no reason not to in terms of helping with cash flow. Okay, and then now jumping back down my line, continually monitor the news. For what is, obviously the news is just a very crappy place to be, but we need to be on top of this. We need to know what our events are going to look like, when we can get back to work, how we'll get back to work, but also we need to know what is being offered to help small businesses that are suffering. For example, at the time of recording this, the bill that is passing through the government right now is still being tweaked, I think, in the Senate. So we don't even know 100% what we're going to get out of that. I also just saw something announced for our state, California. So just keep your eyes on that. See what programs come out in terms of being able to put cash in the bank there. Some other options that I have not personally researched, but I think in certain states might be available to us as business owners. You might be able to get unemployment during this time, even though you are self-employed. I saw something about that on California's website. I'm not technically self-employed since we're like an S corp, so I didn't read too much into that. But that is definitely something worth looking into, because in all of the scenarios I've given you so far, this is temporary money to give back. That actually would be the one scenario where you would just be getting assistance from the government and not have to worry about paying that money back. So that is 100% worth looking into, even if there's not necessarily anything there for us, or necessarily anything there for us yet. Because again, continually monitor what is coming out of both the federal and your local governments to see if there are any additional options for you. And then the last thing that I just want to reiterate: this will pass. This does not affect our fall, other than more weddings happening now in the fall. This doesn't affect our fall. This doesn't affect our 2021. This is a temporary thing. It is a big thing. It is a huge thing. It is as big of a thing as it can possibly be, because there is just suddenly a hard stop in our work, in our bookings, in our cash. But it will pass. It is temporary. So please put all of these tools to use, and any other tools you can think of. Are there anything else? I know there's more. Please rally in the comments. Vendors, let's get in the comments and let's help each other out. What options do you know of? What credit cards do you... Oh, here's another one off the top of my head that my accountant mentioned to me last week. You could apply for one of those special credit cards where you can transfer a balance for 12 to 18 months, no interest. That would be an option as well. It's actually something we might look into at some point as well. So yeah, anything like that, drop that in the comments below. Let's rally. Let's get through this as an industry and come out stronger on the other side. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oh, you could also subscribe. You know, I'm going to be here a lot. We'll be here a lot over the next couple weeks. So yeah, you know, subscribe. All right, see you next time.